Welcome, Penn. Last night. Well, so Penn and I have a mutual friend named Joe Garrity. Shout out Joe. And Joe invited me to an album release party at 8 p.m., which I guess for most people is reasonable. I thought that was very late at night. I was like, it's already, the sun has set. It's cold. I could be at home sipping tea. It says pretty early. And I love Joe. Was like, yeah, of course I'm going to go. And then at like 7, I was like, do I have to go to this? I really don't want to leave my home. Send him some text to like feel out how he would feel if I didn't go. And it was clear that I needed to go. And to make a short story long, he conceived of, directed, edited a music video for an artist named Hank May for a song called Morgana. And I'm plugging it because on this show, I think I have come to learn that our audience thinks a lot about mental health and thinks about depression and thinks about how to get out of that and how to be joyful. And I think one of the things that our audience really likes about our show is that it's hopeful and uplifting, but it also grapples with these heavier themes. So the song Morgana is about suicide, and it's sort of about kind of making the decision not to end your life. And it's a heavy theme, but the song is very upbeat and very uplifting. And the music video is so hopeful and inspiring. I couldn't sleep because I was so happy and proud of Joe and uplifted by the video. And I really think that Podcrushed listeners will love this. So when this episode drops, I'm going to put a link in our stories to that music video because I think you guys are going to find it so inspiring. And this is the most that I've ever shamelessly plugged someone. He didn't ask me to do it,
really
but
is.
I've never done it. I feel really strongly about this video. I really think you guys are going to like it. And so I just want to share that with you all.
I like that you're finally not sleeping out of happiness.
Yeah, for once.
You know?
Yeah.
Because, most of our audience, as you just named, can't sleep from the depression.
Yeah. So feel a little good. Go into the holidays with Morgana.
I'm looking forward to that. By the way, I'm so looking forward to the holidays. I'm not usually like that, I don't think.
What are you the most looking forward to?
It's just so the change of the seasons here it's like the trees that now that we don't live in the city anymore, I'm falling in love with nature, with the world of nature. I just love that it's like being on the same wavelength with so many people. That that Thursday of Thanksgiving, nobody's expecting anything. It's you know what I mean? It's just like there's something that's nice. It's like you really truly, regardless of what your beliefs are, your sort of political posture on the holiday, which of course can be many things, you at least know you have the day off of work probably, and you can be with your family, and it's just something about that I really love, and the cold in the Northeast, it's special here.
Yeah. Well, today, speaking of things that are special and lovely, your co-star, Charlotte Ritchie, is our guest today. And having never met Charlotte but heard only effusive stories from Penn about her, I did have high expectations. And she exceeded them. She's so warm. She's so friendly. She's so humble. Unlike any other actor I've ever met. Ever.
Let me underscore.
Super, super humble. Loved Charlotte, and I know that you guys will love her too.
Yeah, so Charlotte is not only known for playing Kate in season 4 of My Show You. I always have to say My Show You because if I just say you, sometimes it's not always clear. And she's quite iconic for 2 other roles, as far as I'm aware. It is her role in Call the Midwife, which is some Americans may not know this show. I know it's very popular, but it's a particular darling in England. And Charlotte is a particular darling in England. She also is the lead of Ghosts, one of my favorite television shows, the British version, the original version. I think that show is populated with brilliant comedians. What else would you know her from? I think there's like Fresh Meat on the old platform Netflix. There's a lot else. Charlotte's been working a long time.
And you might spot her in the new Willy Wonka movie, apparently.
That's true. If you blink, however, she says, you will miss it. So don't
keep your eyes
blink.
open.
Also, you're not going to want to miss this one. You're going to stick around.
Stick around.
Welcome to Podcrushed. We're your hosts. I'm Penn.
I'm Nava.
And I'm Sophie.
And I think we could have been your middle school besties.
Drawing all over each other's faces at sleepovers.
Hello, Charlotte, Ritchie, and welcome to Podcrushed.
Thank you
Welcome.
very much for having me.
Yes, of course.
Sorry.
No apologies
again.
now. No, we're not doing it again. This is
Okay.
my co-host, Nava Kavelin.
Hi,
Nice to
Nava.
meet you, Charlotte.
It's so nice to meet you too. Honestly, I love this podcast. I'm really very chuffed to be here. That is genuine, but then I got embarrassed about saying it, so it sounds insincere. It's true. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. We're so excited to have you.
That's great.
You're not only a friend, you're a fan of the podcast. Fan is a strong word. You're a listener, at least.
Yeah.
You've listened to it some.
I would say that's being, I mean, I've listened to it lots of times and I've enjoyed it. So I think I could say I was a fan. I'm a fan.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we do want to get to God, I feel so cheesy saying it. We want to get into Harry Potter, not because Nava is a rabid fan, which she is, and not because we're lazy researchers, which sometimes we might be, but because, as I recall, you were in it on set at like 14 or 15 years old. Is that right?
Yeah.
And so since you're a fan of the show, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that this is our sweet spot. So what I would love to do, can we start with Charlotte at 12?
Yes.
Just a snapshot of Charlotte at 12, becoming a performer or not, whatever, how you were seeing the world, what you were like, because it's leading up to you and your eyebrows, as you as you have reported.
Funny.
I do love the story of your eyebrows on the set of Harry Potter. So just take us through that.
I think basically the sort of main headline is that I was like very not chill, very like highly sensitive, very kind of quite insecure, always a little bit worried I was like in trouble either with a friend or like I was doing something wrong. Like I always had this sense of just being a bit wrong basically, and it was just I was a very anxious kid. I definitely had fun. Like there's so much stuff I enjoyed and I used to have fun at school, but definitely that period, year 8, year 9, so 12, 13 was getting into like complicated feelings. That's not new. I know from listening to the podcast, it's not new. And I also know talking to...
and when do you believe that's going to end for you?
It's over. Ben, it's been a really transformative year for me since series 4 of you. It's coming to a close. Yeah, it's coming to a close. No, I think it was genuinely, actually. I mean, jokes aside, I do think that I am just about wheedling out the things I was feeling at that age. Things
I fully
that set
agree,
in
by
at
the
that
way.
age. About me or about you?
No, about myself.
Yeah.
Like that experience resonates with me very much.
Yeah, I kind of can't believe it's still taking this, like it's still there.
Yeah.
And also I think in quite a kind of, to be sort of vaguely serious, like the parallel of like hitting puberty, becoming, entering that kind of new zone, now paralleled with being my age, people having kids everywhere, my feelings about myself it's really interesting, the parallels. And before that, there was a kind of time of like not being complicated in some way. And that's because of, I guess, a host of things. But yeah, it's such a huge kind of entering into a new place and the way that the world sees you and all of that stuff.
Charlotte, so maybe let's rewind a little bit. Like at what point did you start performing? I've heard that you're very musical. Like when was music introduced to the scene? I want to hear about that.
Well, I kind of had this, I think I loved acting and I did it at primary school. I remember I did a sort of sketch where, I don't know what it was for. It was maybe like a drama evening thing, it was like a talent show thing. And I did a sketch where I played Toad of Toad Hall from Wind in the Willows. And I remember making somebody laugh and being like, this is the kind of approval I'm looking for. Like really enjoying that. Oh, this attention is addictive. But also I think I was like, not to be too cynical, I do think I was having fun. Like I think I really enjoyed it. I had like, I don't know, I think I was dressed up with all these like, dressed up as like a washerwoman or something. I was in disguise. Anyway, it's not important, but that started, but I kind of don't think I really had a sense of it being a kind of career thing. I think I was still, maybe I wasn't sure it was like something you could actually do. I think, although then I read a diary recently of mine and it was like, I'm going to be an actress. So this narrative I've kind of like made, like, I don't know if it was going to be a thing. It seems like I was pretty set on it at some point.
How old was this diary entry?
I think about 11.
Oh,
So it must have been going into secondary school. Yeah, so around this time.
It was just before, and I do mean this with sensitivity. Hopefully you can feel. It was just before the insecurities that you're talking about were kicking in the same way. Yeah, I
think so. I mean, yeah, that was then, and then I think I kind of secondary school was a bit more real, and it was a bit less cozy, and it was just you're just coming up against everybody else acting out their insecurities, and it just seems totally unnavigatable. Like I honestly, you couldn't pay me any money
to do it
to
again.
Go back to a classroom and that. Yeah. And just the mental acrobatics I was doing to like work out what everyone was feeling. And by the way, I think like not even considering how I was really feeling, like just fully kind of like, okay, how am I going to just like sort of navigate this? I was never like, am I okay? Or like, is this nice? Or am I having fun? It was just kind of a bit, I mean, this is again painting a very bleak picture. I did obviously have loads of fun at different times. And, you know, we did dance routines and we like, I don't know, went to each other's houses and it sounds so boring.
So cute.
I should have prepped this.
Penn was going to forests and listening to Puff Daddy. That's what we've learned about his.
Yeah.
Not at the same time. And no, the forests really were leading up to this time. The forests were the Bon Iver's Time Away in Wisconsin. I don't know if it's Wisconsin. In a cabin in the woods before moving to LA. Then once I hit 12, I mean, I was fully in LA.
Yeah, you were just having to do sort of be adult kind of. Half adult, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Let's get to Harry Potter, only because I think I think it's an incredibly that was a very like yes. We've got to move on.
No, of course.
I've got to do my job.
Okay. So Harry Potter.
But the reason I like this story is because at its core is actually something of the British humility you were talking about, or maybe but in your case, I think it's like it comes out with an interesting quasi lesson at the end, but it's just also it's funny to me, like the way you've mentioned it before. So can you tell us about how you found, because the jump from community theater, playing music and doing plays in school, whatever it is, the leap from that to being on the set of what I think must be the biggest film franchise of our generation. I mean, right? It's got to be. How did you end up there? What were you thinking about it, and then what happened?
I used to go to a theatre school on Saturdays called Sylvia Young's, which is like I don't know if you've heard of it. It's kind of a theatre school in London, and you can do Saturday classes. And they often would put out like an email, like was it email? I guess it was something like that, like a notification in whatever format it was coming, to say we are like auditioning for people, or like we want headshots for people who could be supporting artists in Harry Potter. And I was like, that sounds amazing. And so
did you like Harry Potter?
Yeah. I used to really love it. And so it was like quite exciting to, I guess what it was like, I think it was only, obviously it was still writing, maybe I was 15, 16. So they were just coming to the end, I think. And I like signed up, and then they were like, sweet, then can you do 2 weeks of filming in your summer holidays? And it was an amazing experience. It was so cool. I was Slytherin. I had a little naturally I was Slytherin. Look at me. And
which film?
This is in the fourth film.
The fourth.
Goblet of Fire, right?
Oh my gosh, the fourth is the best. In my opinion, fourth is the best.
Is it really?
Yeah, I love
the
fourth film.
Don't you think the fourth is the best? Best film, best book.
It's all a wash to me. I don't know. I can't tell the difference in memory.
It's really
so
good.
Different. So the fourth one, and then I was in the Defense Against the Dark Arts scene with Mad-Eye Moody, which is Brendan Gleeson, who is amazing.
Oh.
Yeah, and it took so long to film one scene. That's what I remember really sticking with me. I also remember actually this is not really relevant, but I was on my own. I didn't know anybody, and I remember going on the minibus to go there, and I had a mini disc player, and I had a specific mini disc with like all these various tracks on it. And whenever I hear any of those songs, I'm like back on the minibus. It's like really amazing how that, anyway, that sort of just sets it in time.
Can you give us one of those songs, one or two of those songs? I'm
Yeah,
curious.
one of the first song is, it's so embarrassing to say because I don't know how to say the word Ms, but it's a Mos Def song.
Oh,
is
Mos
it Mos
Def.
Def? Is it?
Miss Fat Booty.
Yeah, that was the first one.
That's
Ms,
so
okay,
funny.
good. I think I was going to go Ms, and I thought I can't. So you said it first.
Ms. Fat
Yeah,
Booty.
yeah, and then it went into another song.
Another Mos Def song?
No, different song, like maybe by a band I think called Dog Stein Hot Cars, which was like a big British band at the time.
It's pretty bleak.
It's actually, the songs were a bit
It's
more
a
upbeat.
PSA. Don't leave your dog in a hot car.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a sort of an advert for how to treat your animals.
I might be able to rap the entirety of Miss Fat Booty right now. I'm not kidding.
Really?
Let's get a
Like
little bit. Let's get a
that's
couple
it. No,
bars.
no.
Yeah.
Hold on, but I would. So that single record cover, like a you know, an actual single release vinyl
Yeah.
of that song, my cousin gave to me. And I didn't have a record player, so I just put it on my wall and loved it because I did love Mos Def and I did love that album.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Same
Yeah.
time, same place.
Same time, same
not
place.
same place. It wasn't.
No, you
She
weren't
was on
the
her
mini,
way
but
to
you were
Harry Potter.
probably-
You were on your way to filming Fluffer.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And then it was just kind of amazing. Like there's just so many kids and everyone was dressed up in the costumes and I remember I kept putting my hood up and pretending to be a Dementor. And then really soon after, someone came round with like 100 safety pins and pinned all of our hoods to like our backs so that we couldn't put them up. And I was like, yeah, guys, just chill out. So
Wow.
hanging like chilling out. So anyway, so the thing that I think I told you, Penn, was that when I was in the film, I went to, once I knew it was coming out, I booked tickets for me and my friends to go to the Streatham Odeon, which was our local cinema. And we sat like quite close to the front. I think I still hadn't understood that that's not the best place to sit in the cinema. I think I just thought front row is the best row. And and I remember at the time that I was filming, there was an actress who she's the one of the characters that has like a big spider crawling up her arm. And she was like doing this kind of like acting that I was thinking, I don't think that's going to be big enough to like get in the camera. Like, I just don't think they're going to get that. Like, I really think you're going to have to do more for people to like understand what's going on. And anyway, I then like actually get into the cinema. I'm with all my friends and I look up and it's so clear who has like done the subtle acting and whose eyebrows, me, look like they've been tied to strings and someone's literally putting them up and down like that. Wow. Like, it is honestly, it's so too much. And also considering I had no lines and I was directly behind, I think it's Ron. It's like,
Oh my God.
why didn't someone say? It was a big lesson. I was like, that's how you do subtle acting. She's really good. And it was a big learning for me. It was a big learning. I don't know. Penn, have you done much stuff that's that kind of, like those kind of...
No, I mean, no,
I know you've done
you would
humongous
know.
shows.
I would be a bigger deal, and it would be no.
I know, it's such a shame you're not a very
No.
big deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a low budget big deal.
Maybe I'm a low budget. No, I'm just a low budget, middle deal.
Charlotte, do you
Yeah.
have any, I hope you know that this is a question that we ask everyone. Do you have any
Yeah.
embarrassing stories from that time that you recall that you could share with us? You could choose one. You don't have to share more than one.
Yes, I do. There's one that really sort of definitely sticks out, like as something that it was sort of very much, basically there was definitely a sense when I was growing up, like if you commit to something, you have to kind of follow through with it. Like you've got to just keep going. You can't just drop it when it is a bit difficult. Like if you're going to do like a term at school, a term of classes, you have to finish them. And I signed up to do gymnastics at a local hospital. Strangely.
Wait,
That was where
I already really like where this is going.
it was the class like after school, and it was just happened to be hosted like in the middle of a hospital.
That's so strange.
It was such a strange environment, and I wasn't that good really at gymnastics at all, and I was just hitting puberty, so like, and I had to wear a leotard. And this isn't like a period story, that sounds like that's where it's going. but more to give you a visual of like someone that is really not comfortable in their body, having to wear like a velvet leotard and have their hair scrunched back. And basically there was a competition at the end of the term, and my mom was like, you should do this. This will be really good for you. Like, give it a go. You know, you've been working really hard on your teddy bear roles, like have a go. And I was like, I really don't want to do this. She was like, do it. It will be great. So I
Are teddy
signed
bear
up.
rolls somersaults?
No, they're the ones where your legs are kind of out like that, and then you kind of run back to the other side.
I don't even know what that is.
I was so good at those. Like that. That's literally like, I guess, but even a mediocre gymnast, that must be like the warm up you do for fun to make your friends laugh.
I honestly don't think so.
You roll your back. Anyway, so that was the extent. That's fine.
Just picturing you in a little velvet leotard in the
I know.
I'm so glad I asked because it was not clear. It was not clear at all.
It's really specific. I guess it's maybe like big teddy bears, they sit up like that with their legs out, and then it's like, what?
Yeah, I get it.
So that was mainly what I was focusing on. And I think I could also like walk along the beam a bit like that without falling off. And then
Like a teddy bear?
Like a
penguin.
You're kind of making the same motions.
I had the grace of a teddy bear being controlled by like a 3-year-old. And then there was this thing called like, I think it's called the horse or the vault or something, which is where you like put your hands down, you kind of jump onto it.
Yeah.
And you can do a thing where you go through your legs, and so you jump all the way across. And I always found that quite hard. And anyway, it got to the competition day, and it was like a new world. Like this was kind of like, this is from people all around the UK, like quite serious about it. I was definitely in the beginners zone or whatever, the group, but it was clear that like I was out of my depth. And everyone was like slicked, like hairspray, like thick glitter, like beautiful makeup, and they're like 8 or something, and like amazing leotards. And I was in a group with, I would say, 8 to 9-year-olds, I think. And I was like 11, 12. As I say, like really comfortable in my body, surrounded by people who are like a foot shorter than me,
But who look amazing. They all look amazing.
Oh, they look incredible, absolutely incredible, and they're like literally like rubber bands.
Yeah.
So the first thing I had to do was like a floor routine, and that was kind of okay. That did involve a lot of teddy bear rolls, forward rolls, a couple of cartwheels, but that was while lots of other stuff was going on. I felt quite confident with that. And then by the time I had to do the horse event, the vault, everything else around the arena had like shut down. Like it was just quiet. It was just that event. And I remember there's like quite a lot of people. And I remember I could sort of see my mum quite far away. And I was lined up with all these people, as I say, like much shorter than me and much younger. And I remember like everything going a bit slow. And I like just, it was my turn. I was so nervous. And I ran like, I put my hands on the vault, and I just like fully belly flopped onto it, which you're not supposed to do, of course. And then there was like a boom around the arena, and it was just like
just
nothing
silence.
else was going on. Silence. And I basically sort of fell off the side, like rolled off the side.
Charlotte.
And did anyone that definitely did not happen to anyone else, did it?
Oh no, because as I moved aside, it was like that, wee, 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 like all these like, tiny kids just going, yo, like barely touching it. Wee, wee. And then so they're going in the background, and then this woman was like to me, are you okay? And every part of my being is going, no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. And then she goes, do you want to do this again? Like, do you want to have another go? And again, like, literally every cell is going, don't do it again. Like, go home. You don't have to do this. And I feel my head just, yeah, I'd love to. So then she lines me back up. I feel like I'm having an out-of-body experience. And I'm like that. Okay, front of the queue again. And then, of course, like running, hands on, belly flop, literally roll off. And I just sprinted out of the room. It was a huge hall. I sprinted out. Oh God, it was just, the thing is like, I just shouldn't have gone back. I don't know. Anyway, that.
This
oh
is
my
my
God.
favorite embarrassing story anyone has
No,
ever
I
told
somehow,
on the show. It is.
somehow. Did you even try?
I don't know.
Like on the second
that's
one,
such
I would
a good
imagine that
question.
you were like, "There's no way."
It's such a good
You
question.
just know I'm gonna make it. So you're just dreading.
Yeah. It was like I
that's
gave
so-
up my first step. Like
Yeah.
I think you're right. That's such. Actually, I've never thought, did I try? Because I think really, I was like,
There was
I think
no
honestly, all the
possibility,
strength had gone out
probably.
of my body. I think I was just so unhappy to be doing it. And I had this like thing in my head. I don't think it's true. Where I looked up and my mum was like looking, like pretending to read the paper. But that just can't be true because that doesn't fit with their personality.
that sounds like a Benny Hill routine inserted into your memory or something.
Totally. I can see it, but it's like really close up. So I think it's like I've fully just sketched that in. Anyway, that taught me a valuable lesson that you should just give stuff up. It's really hard. Don't persevere. Yeah, if at first you don't succeed, just go home. Yeah, that was what I learned. But those days are gone now. And, I do the odd cartwheel. I don't feel scarred by it. I can still
Great.
have a
Do you
go.
ever do the teddy bear?
Yeah, sometimes. If I have enough space. Yeah, just really get loose.
Yeah. Let's pivot. I do want to get to you, but Penn, you had something you wanted to.
Yeah. In my prep, I did find an article and I laughed out loud at the opening line from The Independent.
Oh, no.
It's Charlotte Ritchie fans are very excited for Charlotte Ritchie.
Oh, that's so nice.
I know, it is nice. And I was curious, are you excited for Charlotte Ritchie?
Oh, that's such a nice question.
What's the horizon for Charlotte now? This is, I suppose, we could tack this on at the end. Are you actually?
I'm definitely feeling like I'm in a newish headspace, I would say. I don't know about I don't know how you're feeling about this, having had a bit of time away, but I have definitely benefited from having a bit of time to kind of live more my life sort of generally. And I don't know, I think maybe, I'm not very good at looking into the future, to be honest. Like, I'm not very good at all.
Well, no, I mean, who is? Aside from Nava's palm reader, Nava did meet a palm reader recently.
Did you? What did you think?
I was actually telling someone this story last night. I believe in palm reading. I thought this experience was going to be total bullshit for a number of reasons, but she was so spot on. Even something specific that she told me just happened last week. I'm like,
No way.
It happened, and I was telling my sister, and she's like, the palm reader said that was going to happen. And I was like, I know. It's wild. So, yeah, very accurate. I'm fully a believer now.
She predicted it, and then it happened.
Yeah. She was like, in the next 6 months, a few things are going to happen, and one of those things just happened last week.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I went to a palm reader a long time ago, and me and my friend had our palms read, and I was like, this feels very accurate. And I don't understand, because this was like in the middle of somewhere I'd never been, in a country I'd never been to before. There's no way like this man knew anything about any of us.
Yeah. Same. I just went up to a random booth on Venice Beach. Like, the woman didn't pull out her phone and Google me. I didn't even tell her my name.
What does
there
it?
was just certain things she said that were like.
Does it make you feel like there's all this stuff just planned? Does it make you feel a bit restricted?
This question of fate and destiny versus agency. That is such a good question. I hadn't actually thought about that.
I'm sorry. Don't.
I wonder if,
how did you not think about that?
Well, I think it being recorded on my palms doesn't mean it's destiny. It just means that maybe I'm acting out my agency and someone can see it. For instance, you know that the sun is going to rise tomorrow, but that doesn't mean that you caused the sun to rise. It's just something that does happen. I don't know. That's probably not a good example, but
I don't think
I don't
it
know.
is,
I think there's it's a terrible example. We'll cut it. We'll cut it so that I can preserve. People on this show think I'm smart, and I would like to keep that illusion up. So we're gonna cut that.
Every now and then, Nava does say something, and I'm like, wow,
She's an idiot.
That was so not on the level.
Every now and then, how do you put up with this? This is unbelievable.
Every now and then, she's a fucking idiot. So, I think there is a dance between fate and free will. Certain things are obviously fated, like where you're born. You had no say in that. For many people, when they die, certain things I think are outside of our control, that whatever the word is, one could call it fate. It was predetermined. But I think we have a lot of agency, and then there's mystery and sort of like what is agency and what is fate. But like one of the things that she said to me was, she just looked at my hand and she was like, oh, you've never had like a great love of your life, which I feel like a stranger wouldn't know. And I haven't. And she was like, but you're going to have one soon. And she like gave me a date and said like certain things had to happen for that to happen. And then a few of those things just happened.
Wow.
And it was like insane. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's crazy. But then she saw my sister's palm and my sister was married and like she could see those things. So she was seeing something.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Also quite exciting that these things are...
Yeah. Everything she predicted was very exciting. There were like a few hard things.
Great.
She was like, these hard things have to happen. And then when they do, these other things are going to happen to you.
Bring them on. Bring on the test.
The hard things have happened. Yes. The hard things happened last week. So hopefully the good things are coming. Yeah. So Charlotte, you are obviously a big part of season 4 of You. You're in the role of Kate. And I want to know, I have a few questions about the auditioning process and sort of how you got that. So one, just sort of, what was it like to audition for that role? How did you prepare? And what was your reaction when you landed it?
So it was, what was it like preparing? Well, I can't remember the scenes I had to do, but I remember really liking there was this kind of monologue, I think. Not monologue, sorry. There was like that's how I see it. Bullshit, my line. There was like a kind of section, I think, where Kate was talking about her father.
Hold on, like just to be clear though, they are monologues because Joe doesn't speak.
I know.
They are. It doesn't seem, and in fact, what they do for the auditions, I'll just say, which you may have picked up on, but you haven't seen it so many times as I have, so you might not have noticed the pattern. What they do for those audition scenes, which are essentially chemistry reads, they create far more lines for Joe than end up being in the real scene. Because otherwise there's no chemistry. There's not going to be, usually what it is a woman who he's already obsessed with, just talking at him about her trauma, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, and for the audience, the dialogue, quote unquote, is actually between Joe's mind and her. Yeah. That's really what it is. That's that interplay that you don't notice until you're a part of constructing it. And then, anyway, so sorry, carry on.
Yeah. Firstly, I was like, well, there's no way that they're going to, there's no way that they're going to go for me on this. So off we go. Let's have a good go. And then when I did get a recall, and then I can't remember, it's kind of blurred into one. Then I did a Zoom with you, Penn. And you were at home, or maybe, I don't know if you were at home.
Yeah, I was.
And it felt very hard actually over Zoom because... Not that this isn't actually, because also like it's, we're talking.
It was similar.
Real, but
it was stilted and there wasn't really a lot to go off of. Yeah.
It was kind of like really boring, really.
Yeah. I'm mostly quiet. You just keep talking. Talking,
monologuing, as I've said before.
Yeah.
So I found it, difficult. And it was just kind of just quite strange because it was over Zoom.
I mean, so you basically had the role by the time that I forget if we've ever spoken about it, but like you were clearly, I didn't know even that they were pursuing you. I'm not like prying into that process, and I trust them in the way they pursue it.
He's pretty checked out.
Well, no, I mean, it's just like I've said this before, they know how to make the show in a way where like I know how to play Joe, and yes, I can direct an episode well enough, but I don't feel like I'm the one to get into the like mess with the DNA of the thing. That's not where I think I could do that in other projects, not this one.
Yeah.
So Charlotte, you said you went into it not thinking you were going to get it. Penn says you already had it. But for you, when you found out that you got the part, how did you feel?
I felt like, I think really honestly, I felt really a bit, I'm so quick to be afraid of like new things, and kind of, I think because I had that feeling like, I don't know if you don't think you're going to do these things when you go for them necessarily. And because it felt out of my comfort zone, I think I did feel quite intimidated by the prospect. But also it was exciting because like it is such a huge show, and I did know that it was going to be like a good thing, and that it would also be like a good challenge. And yeah. So I kind of felt like a real mix of things, but it's very kind of normal of me to feel quite kind of intimidated, I would say.
Yeah.
And I built up I think the fact that it's such a big show really kind of got to me, maybe. Yeah, I think that definitely like overwhelmed a lot of my feeling, which is a shame, because actually in retrospect, I think that has not done me any favors. And I think it's taught me like quite a big lesson, actually, that you don't have to see things as like these big blocks of things. Like, I guess I was like huge show, like big Netflix thing. And it just seemed a bit impermeable, what was it, impenetrable, and kind of doesn't have to be like that, but I'd sort of labeled it a bit like that, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The character is tightly wound, and I think fan reactions were mixed. I think people liked a character who didn't just like fall for Joe hook, line, and sinker like some of the previous leads. And I think some people were like, missed.
Why
the, like,
won't she
more
fall in love with him faster?
sort of doe-eyed lead. And so I'm just wondering, as the person playing the part, seeing mixed reactions, like, is that something that you take personally? Like, how do I think I would take it personally, even if it's just the way the character was written, just as like the vain, egotistical person that I am. But I'm just wondering how that lands for you, sort of seeing a lot of people like, yes, and a lot of people like, why?
Yes. It's very real. It's like, it's a really, it's such a kind of specific and strange experience. I was anticipating that. Like, I didn't imagine that it was going to be like, all unanimously, you know, yes. Basically, I think the thing I've learned is that you have to be, and it's like a sophisticated and good crafty thing, that craft person thing to do, to find what you love about the person that's kind of hateful. And I'm not sure that I did. Like, I'm not sure that I found her so cold. And I found it like almost kind of like fun, in that kind of perverse enjoyment of getting to be someone who's so awful. But really, if I was to, and I think it chimes actually with the character. Like, I think that she was closed off to herself very much. So I think there's like a real disconnect there. And I don't think, if, you know, so it works in my head in some ways, but also it would be quite nice to think about how you can be more empathetic towards that character. And that would have, I think, contributed also to some sort of level of connection, because I was inside that character being like, yeah, I know, she's a real bitch. But like, maybe that's not that helpful. You know, it's not a caricature. And I think that is, I don't know, something I'm thinking about.
I think your character was written in a way that the audience wasn't supposed to just, if they were used to a lead that was like your rom-com female counterpart who's going to get murdered, or is going to turn insane, but still for like the first 9 episodes of season 2, Victoria is very much in that like rom-com sort of mood. Yeah. Your character isn't that. And so I think that the audience wasn't supposed to like her. So my question was, at least my question wasn't like, did you play her in a way that made the audience not like her? No, it's like you played her exactly the way you were supposed to. And I think the audience reacted exactly the way they were supposed to. It's actually amazing that there were people who did like her, because I think you're not supposed to, at least initially.
Well, she's supposed to see Joe.
Is that hard? Yeah. That was sort of my question, just to say.
Right.
I think you played her beautifully. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. She's supposed to see Joe. She's supposed to be the one that sees through him. But then, of course,
she even says like, "You're a creep. What are you doing here?"
I know, but then she obviously falls in love with him. So then, even the thing she had to go for her, which is like, because he's so incredible.
He's amazing.
I think that thing, you know, she maybe had going for her, like a X-ray vision, like, you're an asshole. I think she lost that because she then fell in love with him. So it's like, well, what even are you even doing? I mean, what are you even anyway? So, but in terms of the way that it feels like, you know, funnily enough, going back to that kind of 12-year-old person who really wants everyone to think that they're great and really like them, like, hello, she's like, you know, that doesn't go anywhere really. But it's been in some ways very useful to just go, gosh, there's loads of people who don't like Kate, and maybe therefore don't, you know, maybe think I'm the same. And then you have to go, well, there's nothing I can do about it. It's literally nothing I can do.
Well, if our hugely successful podcast is any indicator, you were, I think, our top 3 most requested guests. Like, people wanted to hear from you. So whether or not they love Kate, I think they like you. That's my
that's
impression.
nice.
Yeah.
Unless it's like, let's see whether she's a real bitch.
Is she really a bitch, or?
Yeah. And the answer is hell, yes. 100%. So I don't know. I mean, it's quite a big thing, but that's also the risk you take, isn't it, by being out there. And also there's lots of interesting things around women being likable and how important or not that is. And it's very, very important.
The most
but it's also
important thing, Charlotte.
Yeah. Being beautiful and likable are the two most important things.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, sorry, there's some screeching going on.
Is that your inner?
Is that just in your head?
Yeah,
soul?
that's my inner panic. But I'm not. No, it's true. But then, I also think it's really reasonable to want to feel a connection with or like the person that's portraying a romantic relationship in front. Like I get, of course, it's a joy to watch people that you like on screen and you identify with. Because that's...
You're immensely likable in person, and I've always known. I mean, from basically the first moment that I met you in person, it was not clear on Zoom.
Was it not?
No, I'm kidding.
I didn't wonder that.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, I know.
It doesn't. Unfortunately, Charlotte, it doesn't translate on Zoom, so you've got no hope.
On any screen.
Whatever we say, this is going.
No. It was very clear to me. Like, oh, I see what they've done. They've cast one of the most likable people they could in the role of someone who's immensely unlikable.
Yeah. To give you credit, Penn, like despite the kind of coldness of that on-screen relationship, it was so fun hanging out with you. That was like
laughing.
A real.
I feel like we were always.
It was a
laughing.
joy. It was almost like the more serious it got on the screen, the more fun it was outside of it. And I'm so grateful for that. Yeah.
I'm glad you feel that way now, because there was a period where I felt bad, because it's like I've been doing this for so long now, like it's just kind of, and there were times where I feel like you did ask me, you're like, you have to stop.
Oh yeah, there was some times. Well, there were moments where like, I don't know, I'd have to be like on the brink of tears and you'd be doing this like squeaky Victorian voice just up until the very, oh well, you're doing a really nice job,
Yeah, really get in there. Just remember when you were young. Remember when you were young.
Oh my God. It would always feel like it was somehow there was a person like hiding underneath the chair. There's like a quality to that voice that was like, huh? It felt like it was coming from somewhere else. But no, that was a real blessing.
Okay, one question we ask is, what was your first impression of each other? So we want to hear from both of you. And from both of you, what was your favorite film, your favorite scene to film together? It doesn't have to be the same one.
Oh, yeah.
So Penn, we'll start with you. What was your first impression of Charlotte in person?
In person, I don't remember the moment, but I do. I mean, I've said like I immediately knew why Greg had felt so confident about her being the one, because she's incredibly warm and sort of bubbly is not at all the right word, because bubbly implies to me something almost that's like a kind of a superficial negative connotation. And it's also like, I think Charlotte, you have an interesting mix of, you are very British, but at the same time there's this, it's not droll, it's not like the things that Brits will very, I don't know, kind of say about themselves. There's this implication that there's a kind of a almost like a sadness or a coldness or something. You know what I mean? There's like this, it's like the weather. There's this my impression of the way Brits
like
talk about themselves. No, not a disconnect. What Brits say about themselves, I think matches the weather. It's like there's a certain restrained, reserved kind of, it's what makes the humor sometimes so good, because it's so, what is that? I don't know. It's, I don't know. But so you have that. You definitely have that, but you manage, I think, a really clear and transparent warmth and kindness, and very funny. So, my first impression was like, again, like I was like, oh, I this is interesting, because she's so not like the character. And I think in particular your comedy really, to me, I was like not just impressed, but I was like, this is interesting. This is like, they've cast a very, very funny person in a role that is not funny.
She's not funny. I'm not agreeing that I think I'm funny, but one thing I do know is that it's not funny.
It's not funny. And I was just like, this is really interesting. I'm really looking forward to see how this works,
Yes, and I think we can all say it was a categorical success across all fronts. No, listen, I'm not saying it wasn't, but of course, there was Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's really nice.
Yeah, and I was thrilled, and I was thrilled about it too, because I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be very fun," because we did just laugh like again. And I'm sorry for when it went a little bit overboard, but I just
no, it's always better that way around. Yes, I had probably I found when I first met you, I think I had a preconceived idea actually, which is you say no. You're saying it's no good. No good. I think I knew that you thought very much about things. Like that was something I thought was I knew I'd be like, this is great. I'm actually going to have some great conversations here. I think you feel similarly often about the industry or whatever and life things. And I was like, that's really interesting. But when I met you and I found you actually, you were a little guarded maybe. And I thought, this is interesting. And this thing I'm talking about, this intimidation of the show, I think got to me a bit. And I think I was like, I won't be too forthcoming. Like normally I'd be like, let's go out and have a drink or something, like whatever. And I think it wasn't till we did go maybe and have a drink and we really sort of, because we didn't talk to each other much on set right at the beginning. I don't know if you remember, not talk to each other, but our characters actually didn't speak that much at the very beginning.
That's right. Yeah, the first few episodes, I'm fully in my head. Like there's no, I speak to almost nobody. It feels like so much inner monologue. And
I'm telling you, when we do speak, I was literally only telling you. My character was telling you to fuck off the whole time.
Yeah, right.
Fuck off. It really sounded like her then. Anyway, and then it was really clear to me once we actually had a proper scene together. I was like, oh, thank God, this is great. Like the fact that you found that we could have some levity between it, basically everything you said, I was like, this is a huge relief. It's reciprocal. No, but I was like, I mean, it was interesting because I think it's quite a good, again, another lesson for how there can be these screens in front of things because of a structure that's in place. You're the lead in the show, you've done 4 series, you're probably going to be, you've met so many new people. Why would you, all these things that come up when you're a new person on a thing, and it's just not true. And you just have to chat, start talking and actually have a proper conversation. And then you were especially towards the end, not just fun to hang out with, but oh my God, I remember one of our last days, I just couldn't get the speech out. I can't remember if you remember, but you just went through it with me 50 times, and I was like, how do you have the energy to do this? And this is so kind. So I don't
remember. You mean we were rehearsing?
And it wasn't. It was a scene in the hospital, and I just couldn't get the lines right. And you just went through it with, I don't know, you probably don't remember. I think you were in a hospital.
Oh no, I do remember that now. Yeah.
And it was right at the end of the shoot, and I thought, how are you still kind of hanging on with energy? And I was like, that's really, always being able to sort of meet people at that level is a really huge thing, because that's what you need, really, isn't it? To be just sort of feel a bit supported and at least a bit in cahoots, not in cahoots, but whatever, connected, is helpful anyway. So I was very grateful for that. But it was quite nice to have that shift from initial trepidation, definitely based on my own worries and stuff.
We have a final question we ask everyone, but I have one more you question. Assuming that you don't know how the series is going to end, what would you like to see happen to Kate and Joe?
I don't know what's going to happen, genuinely. Do you know, Penn?
No, I don't. Yeah, I really
you have
don't.
An impression? Okay.
I'm very curious.
I feel like I would like, I mean, maybe this is more specific to Kate, but with the absence of her kind of terrifying father, I would like to see her be a bit more expansive and a bit more maybe a bit more fun. And for them to maybe have some fun in that regard, being a bit more reveling a bit more in a zone of kind of a bit of power with a bit of, that a bit more kind of opened out, I think.
Do you think she's going to help him kill people? You think she's going to fully go to the dark side with him?
Possibly. Yeah. That feels like it would make sense, but
it feels like it would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if the way that it'll happen is he'll help her kill people.
Isn't
that kind of the vibe?
He's kind of set up as there, she's this kind of.
It's she knows who he is, but it's it's coming in. He's sort of going into the back door of being honest. He is technically being honest with her, but it's kind of a little bit backwards. You know, it's like, yeah,
You
kill
should do that
people,
voice.
but it's sort of not like you think it is.
And then everyone's watching it being like, why is the new voice strange? Oh, good morning, Kate. Did you have a nice sleep?
Penn, you want to ask the final?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. If you could go back to your 12-year-old self, to Charlotte, what would you say or do?
I'd probably say start getting in touch with what you like and what you think is good, and not what you think other people think is good, and therefore like adapting to that. Just try and start to really think about that and know that that's like a reasonable priority. I don't mean like be selfish. I just mean start to look at the world from the inside out as opposed to outside in. And then something quite sweet my friend said to me when I was talking to her about this, and just sort of be like, you're okay. Like, you're fine. You're not this panic and this need to like fix, and it's like, you're fine. So just go easy on yourself. Yeah, definitely. That would be nice.
Charlotte, thank you so much for coming.
Thank
yeah,
you.
thank you.
Appreciate
Honestly,
it.
I don't know
Yeah.
that we've laughed collectively as hard as we did during the teddy bear.
I think that is the most we've ever laughed with your embarrassing story. So
Oh,
charming.
man. Well, listen,
So
the 12-year-old
sweet.
me, it was worth it. It was worth the experience if it made you feel good. I do like a tiny weeny moment in the new Wonka film.
Wait, hold up. Since when have you ended up in that movie?
So I think it was a few months after we filmed, or maybe it was like just before we started filming. I can't remember what. I can't remember that. What's wrong with my... Yeah, it was straight after. It was the November. And then I think I got COVID during it. So I missed a lot of
From
filming.
Timothy
So I'm literally-
Chalamet? Can we tell people you got COVID from Timothy Chalamet? Okay.
You can
Definitely.
say it. Yeah.